Commissioners' public hearing. It is April 11, 2015. It is 10 a.m. Call to order for the meeting. Thank you all for coming. We have a couple sign-up sheets here. We're going to first discuss the trash. Speakers must sign up prior to the meeting and provide their names, addresses, and topic in which they will speak on. Speakers must direct all comments to the board only. Speakers will be allotted 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics and relate to matters pertinent to the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. No questions will be asked by any of the commissioners during citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during the meeting. And as always, because we have a room full, particularly, we do need to keep our comments to 3 minutes. So we will start, first order of business, comments on refused collection and disposal alternatives. Right. And the first person I would like to call is David Greenberg. That's me. If you would please state your name and your address. Hold here, please.
Okay, I'll make it kind of short. First of all, I'd like us to keep the things the way they are with the trash collection.
Sir,
Name and address.
What?
we need your name and address, please.
Oh, all right. David Greenberg, I live on 160 South Medina Road. Okay? Good. Anyways, I want to keep things the way they are. Option 3, because it's a quality of life issue. Spalding County, it's unique to Spalding County. It's a good thing. I like it. If we have to pay for it, I would like to know where the money is going that you're going to be saving from it. And number 2 is I'd like you to do the option 2 where you where we use the collection centers, because I live 600 feet off of Medina Road. It's too far for us to take it to the curbside. That's basically it. And thank you, Commissioner Haubacher, for bringing the attention about people living far from the road. But to me, it's a quality of life issue. I mean, it's very important to us to keep it the way it is. And if we have to pay for it, we have to pay for it, but I would like to know, I know this is not the place for it, is where's that money going that we're paying? Thank you.
Thank you. David Hudson. Please state your name and address, please.
My name's David Hudson. I live at 90 Greenleaf Circle. It's a Hampton address, but it's in Spalding County. Want to address the trash problem. The system you got now is working. There's a lot of difference. On my street alone, just a small street, is 5 women live by themselves. 2 of them over 80 years old. I'm 76. I'm able now to pull a trash can to the street. I live 250 feet straight up a hill, but in the future, I might not be able to. If you're gonna have to add to the tax, add to the tax. But don't go to a building system, be an administrative nightmare to try to collect from every person in this county. Because people move every weekend. Every weekend you see them moving. I don't see how y'all can make an informed decision on the trash unless you went up to Woodruff on Saturday and spent 2 or 3 hours to see what's happening. What goes in a trash can and they pick up on the street is a drop in the bucket to what's hauled away from each centers in a week's time. That it's got to go somewhere. It's a known fact. It's got to go somewhere. The system you got now is working. If you got to add so much to it for it to stay there, that's fine. I don't really want trash trucks coming up and down the street. It's just something else to add to make a mess, but whatever, you consider it, but you need to go see what is thrown away every weekend. Thank you.
Good. Next, Stanley Washington. Please state your name and address.
Stanley Washington, 709 East McIntosh Road, Griffin, Georgia. I'd like to ask if we keep the centers open and find the money that was mentioned the other night about, that was designated to operate the fire stations and collection centers. It was 5% on alcohol sales approved for the collection centers. And back originally, when the fire stations were looked at, it was said that the fire tax would pay for the fire stations and collection centers. I'd like to know where that money went. On the options mandatory collection center, it's going to save the county $627,000 plus a year. It's going to cost the taxpayers $2.16 million a year. On the collection centers remaining open, the cost was estimated between $85 and $100 per year per person. Where will the savings be used at under option 2? And option 3 is what I propose: keep them open, find the money that was originally funded for them, and if not, if we're going to consider the trash centers as a service to the taxpayers to be paid for by the users, then we should look at all non-essential services: senior centers, golf courses, airports, industrial parks, walking tracks, Dundee Lake, Tice Park, all of those. If it's going to be a service, charge a fee at the point of service. We, the taxpayers, can no longer just keep digging in our pockets finding money to pay for these free services. Or option is maybe put it all on the ballot and let the taxpayers decide what they're willing to pay for and what they want to eliminate. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Futrell. Renee? Please state your name and address.
My name is Renee Futrell, 4953 Jackson Road, Griffin. Mr. Washington addressed the amount of money that would be made on the taxpayers for I rounded it off, $2 million, and he addressed that. But I want to talk to you about the school buses. If you've got trash trucks on the road, it's going to interfere with the kids and the school buses during school time. Trash trucks are really heavy. They have large tires, and they're going to go around every little community with every little pig trail, paved or unpaved roads. Our paved roads are already atrocious, and you can't afford to pave them now. What are our side roads going to look like with these big trash trucks? Because they're going to be turning around, and you know what big tires and asphalt look like. We have a lot of poor people. This is a poor county with a lot of poor people in it. Some of these people live on $800 a month for 2 people. They can't even pay their taxes. Family members have to pay their taxes. They cannot sometimes pay for their own medicine. They have to have someone to help them pay the medicine. EMC has to give them discounts on their lights. So where do you think they're going to come up with the money to pay this mandatory trash? That also interferes with children. Children are usually, poor people have children, rich people have children, but the poor can't provide for them like other people can, and $15 a month may not seem anything to y'all, but it certainly is to these people. And the thing about disabled people, these people can't carry those big trash bins to the street, and we live a quarter of a mile. And we have a neighbor that's, he and his wife are disabled. We pick up their trash and take it to the dump for them because they can't. These little things with decals on them, what have I got to do to help those people? They can't go to the dump. You right now provide jobs for retired men. I'm sure they would probably like to keep their little money that y'all pay them. And I just vote for option 3, and I thank you for listening.
Joe Bailey. Please state your name and address.
Joe Bailey, 4079H Newman Road, Griffin, Georgia. The only option I see we have here is option number 3. The other two aren't acceptable to me or the county. I believe that with the right management, that we can make this work. I hate to say we're going to keep up with the Joneses, but I was checking on where some of the numbers came from about what garbage pickup would cost, and I was calling around to other counties that don't have mandatory garbage, since they're the ones that are around us. Henry County maybe, but the rest of them that are joining us don't. And I talked to the manager in charge of it over at Butts County, and I said, well, just how do you make yours meet? I said, y'all making money? Oh, no, we're not making money on it. But the people get upset about it, and they don't want to pay anything else. This is what they want, and the county commissioners there said, this is what you're going to get. And they handle it somehow or another. And I said, well, what better way can we do this that we're making a mistake and everything? So how are y'all doing it that we can't do it? Well, we're not getting an airport, for one thing. And also he said that we get a reduction over at the landfill because it's in Butts County. But I was checking that we have 67 acres that belong to the same group that runs the landfill. I was talking to them, and they said that we may or may not be getting that. And I'd like for that to be looked into. I think we ought to be able to get as many deductions as we possibly can. And if we have to run into a problem, Baldwin County's got, behind my house, has got 430 acres of what was going to be a landfill or whatnot years ago that is turned into, they max out whatever they can use. We could sell some property if we have to. There's no need of Spalding County owning so much property in this county where you're cutting, there's where your tax dollars are going, a lot of it. It's been removed from the whole budget. But I'm for option number 3.
Thank you. Mr. Jack Sibley. Please state your name and address.
Jack Tarpley, 101 Clifford Circle, Griffin. I'm against any change on the garbage collection. After all, the people have already paid taxes to build them to start with. And you know, what has happened to change things so drastically that they now want more money. It seems to maintain them okay in the past. They've been open several years. But I do know the county has overspent on the senior center. They still owe money on the shopping center. Now you want to build an airport. So I guess you're trying to find another way to get some more money coming in so you can spend more. But I'm definitely against closing it down, or like I said, we've already paid for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jane Bailey. Please state your name and address.
I'm Jane Bailey, 4079H Newman Road. And first of all, thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak. Number one, I am against mandatory garbage pickup. Number one, it's a safety issue on busy 2-lane roads such as Highway 16 West. There is no way to do that safely. In my opinion, if individuals want trash pickup, they can get that. That should be an individual decision. It should not be mandatory. I do support recycling, and there should be some income from that, such as for the plastics, the glass, cardboard, drink cans, etc. Though it may not be big money, there is some income coming in from that. So that needs to be a consideration as well. Recycling is the way we need to go. Thank you.
Thank you. James Brooks. Please state your name and address.
My name is James Brooks. I live at 1218 Rehoboth Church Road. And I think the recycling, you got something good. Why you want to do away with something that's been operating? You talk about the cost. What do taxpayers out of the county get out of their tax money? I pay taxes every November. What I get out of it? I ain't seen nothing. I ride over the county almost every week. I ain't seen no paving. I ain't seen no new bridges. We got 2 bridges still out in the county for a storm we had 9, 10 years ago. What do we get for our money? And you want to do away with something that's working. It's been working. Thank you.
John Henley? Please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is John Henley. I stay at 54 Henley Road. I think that you all leave the system like it is, but I come because of personal reasons. I've been picking up trash since 1980. 62 years old. Couldn't find another job if I wanted to. So like I said, if you take away, change it, like I said, it'll be 4 years before I draw for retirement. So I'll be left out in the cold for financial. Then you will tax me for picking up my own trash. So like I said, it's a double whammy. So I hope to keep it like it is, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to say a word.
Thank you. Jim Eaton? Please state your name and address.
Jim Edson, 127 Maplewood Drive, Griffin, Georgia. Now, I live inside the city, and I very rarely use the collection center, but they should stay open because when I have something large, I have a place to take it. Now, the other thing that concerns me even worse, if you go to a requirement where you require the county citizens to contract to get a private pickup, or you charge a fee when they take it, you're going to end up with garbage all over the county. Now, right now, as I said, I do live inside the city, but occasionally after I come home after dark and I see a clean area, when I get up and leave the next morning, there's a pile of brush. What's happened is somebody from outside the city has come in to leave their garbage or their trash limbs in the city, so the city's going to pick it up. You're going to still get it picked up. You're going to pay the cost, whether the city's doing it, whether the county's doing it, extra going around picking up all the extra trash on the side of the road. Leave it as it is. If there's a cost involved, then that cost needs to be divided up. County residents need to pay what it costs to keep those centers open, with city residents also paying the cost because we're going to still use it. Keep it fair, figure out the exact cost, charge that, and don't ask somebody to pay an additional fee because it's not going to get paid. All you're going to end up is trash all over the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Otis Holcomb? Otis Holcomb? If you would, please state your name and address.
Good morning. My name's Otis Holcomb. I live at 112 Pineville Circle. I want to say, what is not broken, you don't fix. And what the system you have here is not broken. So I have been living at 112 Pineville Circle for 15 years. And you had a container sitting out there where you drive by, throw your trash in, and that was okay, but what you have now is a good system. So keep it like it is. Do not do anything, because if you go to a countywide pickup where you have a truck come to my street, I have to pull a container up to the top of my drive, and I have a long drive, and I have neuropathy, and I can't, it's hard for me to walk. So if you keep it like it is, it will be good. And so I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. R.P. Shepherd III. Will you please state your name and address?
I'm Bobby Shepherd, 2251 Jackson Road, Spalding County. I'm surprised that this has come up at all. We have a wonderful system. I'm a resident of the county for over 50 years. I remember when trash was everywhere. Have a fairly large acreage, and they would just fill up all of it. I think we need to separate the cost out, do what is best for the residents of the county, then figure out how we're going to pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sunny Glass.
My name is Sonny Glass. I live at 571 Swint Road. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you commissioners for the job you do. I know yours is not an easy lot, and you get a lot of flack, but I thank you for serving in the position you're serving in. First of all, I want to say that I'm against closing the recycling centers. I think it's one of the things that makes Spalding County stand up and above the rest of the counties that don't have such a thing. And I'm proud every time I go to one, as much trash and garbage is collected at those things, but still needing cleaning when you go there. You don't have it strewn around. Before we had the collection centers on the back of my lot, I'd go out and find mattresses, couches, and whatever. And I haven't seen that in years since we've had the collection centers. I remember, I think when the collection centers first opened, I had a little sticker on the windshield of my truck that said I could go and dump. I know we've got a problem with out-of-county people coming in and dumping, but please do not close our collection centers. I would not be against cutting out another day, but even if we got down to 2 days a week, keep our centers open so that we'll have some place to go. As one of the gentlemen mentioned, when you have heavy trash today, it's the only place to take it. I use our centers, one of them, every day just about. If I'm going to North Griffin, I stop at Carver Road. If I'm going toward McDonough, that's my, I call it my home collection center, the Aiken District, that's the closest to my house. And I use that. I take some, just about every time I leave my house, I've got garbage in my trunk that I can take and dispose of and know it's not going to be scattered. I pass houses on the way. The house next to me has 2 of these collection dumpsters out in front of it, and sometimes it gets piled up and running over, and you have dogs destroy it and everywhere. You still don't have trash for those collection centers, and I mean with these collection dumpsters by your house. This, as I say, these collection centers are one of the best things that's ever happened to Spalding County, and I hope you'll take a long, hard look. I realize everything costs something. And even if I had to pay a little bit to get a stick on my windshield, I would do that. If we had to cut down to say just going to Tuesday and Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday, and Monday, Wednesday and Saturday, 3 days, that would be an option I wouldn't mind doing. But please do not close our collection centers. It's one of the best things we've ever had at Spalding County. Every day I have to go out and pick up in 800 feet before I cut my grass, not every day, but I can pick up trash that people have thrown out and just out the car windows, and before I can get out there with my lawnmower, I have to stop it several times to pick up trash again. But if we didn't have our collection centers, that would be a major problem for me. But I thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Thomas Martin.
Thomas Martin, 312 Stonewood. I don't like option 1. I have curb pickup now, and I have that option, and if they don't do a good job, I can hire somebody else. So I don't like option 1. Option 2, if we had to go with one, option 2 would be the one. I want to stay with option 3, That's the ideal, but I know this costs money. But I still think option 2 should be on a per-use basis, not on a yearly fee. I believe it should be by weight or some way of, if somebody uses it a lot, they should pay more. For me who dumped once, I shouldn't pay as much. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcia Shopley.
Marcia Shockley, 505 Gibson Street. It's hard to add anything new, but in our county, our ditch and culvert system doesn't provide a safe place to put containers. If you ride out in the county, for some of you that live in the city, there are no places except the actual driveway to put a container. On the main roads, when those gravel trucks would come by or any other big vehicle, those empty containers are either going to be sucked out onto the road or back into a ditch. I have an 80-year-old friend who lives about a football field from the road on a gravel driveway. She could not possibly haul it to the street. There are blind spots on my street. It's a dead-end street. Those big trucks have to go backwards to get back out onto Sydney. There are children in the summer playing in those streets. It's just going to be a nightmare for drivers and for the citizens. If you go with option 1, what happens to recycling? You have not even said that in option 1. Are you going to have, like the city, a second container, which would only be worse? We are a progressive county as far as recycling goes. I am excited for being able to take my recycling and take it not going to a landfill. Also, they've talked about the big items. As Mr. Miller and I talked, you take that away and you're going to see the sofas and the mattresses out on the county roads. And as far as a user fee, what happens to businesses? If you put the tax on the tax bill as a user fee, a business is already paying for a dumpster. I don't think it's fair that we would pay for a user fee and have to pay our monthly dumpster fee. If I take my trash to our shop, which I do, but I still go and take my recycling. However, a user fee, I don't know if I want to pay $100-some to take my recycling. So to me, option 3, find the money and keep Spalding County the progressive place it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Bryant.
Good morning, Bill Bryant, 282 North Rover Road. I'm in favor of keeping the collection centers open. I think they're well organized, they're clean and neat for the most part, and they operate very nicely. When you go in, you know what you're doing. Always someone there, never had any problem with no help. Would like to ask you to look at the fees. I'm all in favor of paying for what you use, a user fee, if you will. I do think one thing you need to pay attention to is enforcement, because I have seen other counties in front of me using our facilities, and I'm not in law enforcement, so I can't do anything about it, but I think that would be one thing. Make sure that if it's for the residents and they've got the appropriate payment or fee, they should use it. But I'm in favor of keeping the collection centers open. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Daniel Bryant.
Good morning, I'm Debbie Daniel Bryan. I live at 282 North Grove Road, and you just heard from my husband, and I agree with what he said. But I would like to keep the recycling centers open. I'm very much in favor of that. It's acceptable to me to pay a fee for that. But the nice thing is you are able to take large items to the recycling centers. My concern about taking something up to the street in the county is there's a lot of unleashed animals that would possibly get into it, and I would like to prevent that. And again, as he has mentioned, I'm concerned about enforcement of making sure that only Spalding County residents are using the centers. But I would like to keep the recycling centers open. Thank you.
Thank you. Henry Key. Henry K.
Is it Queen?
Queen, that's okay. I missed it.
I pass.
You passed? Okay. Walter Futrell.
Good morning, I'm Walter Cliff Futrell, I live at 4953 Jackson Road. Mr. Hall Baker is our county commissioner. We've heard any number of different scenarios of what people are willing to do and what option they want. But I'd like to say for myself, and a number of other people seem to agree, that if it's not broken, don't fix it. Right now, we are one of the poorest counties in the state. We have one of the highest fees at about 38% on our yearly taxes now. So I think that the best thing to do is, as I say, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Mr. Hall Baker mentions how much trash he thinks will be left on the sides of the road and have to be picked up if we change things. And I think he's right. There's no way to know for sure until it's too late to do anything, or we have some expensive options. So let's just leave things as they are and be thankful for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee T. Futrell.
I always vote.
Okay. Betty Brown.
Betty Brown, 128 Magnolia Drive. I don't want the recycle centers closed. We do pay for curbside pickup. And I just feel that, I've lived in about 5 or 6 different places in my life. I've lived here for 25 years. Every other place I've lived, you've been able to get government service pickup, trash pickup, and it is really a downer to have to put that in your car. So I wish that somehow, if private enterprise can figure out how to make money from trash pickup, that at least on the paved roads, I mean, we're just a mile outside the city, that at least you can figure out some enterprise to allow some trash pickup some way. You guys, I know it's hard with putting option 1, 2, and 3, so I'm not sure I even fit in any of those options. I don't want the recycle centers closed, but I wish you could figure out some way that we could have trash pickup for some of us who are getting older and who don't have pickups and who don't find it hard to wheel those trash cans out there on wheels, because we're getting, close to 70. And I'm sure it's going to get harder for us, but right now it's fairly easy. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Diane Brackett.
Diane Brackett, 106 Princess Circle. I'm in the county. I want to say happy 18th anniversary to our recycle centers. And they've been working for 18 years, and they've been doing really well. The vote for it came before I moved here. I've only lived in the county for 15 years, and so I didn't get the choice to vote them in. But I have benefited immensely from them, and I wouldn't have it anyway. And I can't imagine what the county would look like without them. I already paid for a private waste management curbside service, and most people in the county have that option already at this moment if they want it, because there's a whole lot of private, maybe not everybody, but most, there's a lot of private services. And I can change it, get rid of it if I want to, but even with my paying for a private curbside, I use those recycle centers a lot for those bulk items. I love that. I have used it so much. I can't imagine my property if I didn't have that option. I agree with maybe finding a way to keep it to county residents only, whether it's a nominal fee for a decal that shows that you're county or something like that, because I don't know how many people from outside county are also piling in on our recycle centers, but I think that's a good idea. I don't have a huge piece of property. I don't have to worry about dragging cans, but I have seen them out in the county, and I can't imagine dragging those cans and dragging. Besides, they don't take care of all the bulk items. So it's worked great. Please don't get rid of it. Just don't do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Lovett.
I'm Jason Lovett. I live at 102 Fox Road. I grew up in Clayton County. I knew a gentleman named Mr. Turnipseed. He was a garbage man, and he provided jobs for 3 generations of his family. As a minority business owner, he was able to maintain a lifestyle that his entire family was envious of. I worked my way through college, and at that time, flipping burgers paid $3.45 an hour. Picking up garbage paid $8. I picked up garbage. We worked in a free market environment. After graduation, my first job was in Asheville, North Carolina, and I witnessed the city of Henderson simply stop picking up trash. I saw the free market come in, multiple companies picked up where the government had let them down, and they were able to get the services they wanted at a price that they could afford. The first business that I ever started was in Henry County, and the first thing that we had to do was stand in front of a board just like this and get them to lift the protectionist moratorium against business licenses for garbage companies. After we got that lifted, several other companies followed us into that market, and we were able to provide on a free market basis for all the residents of Henry County. When I came to this board in opposition to the airport, all my ideas were dismissed, citing other experts. Somebody else knew better than me. In this field, I am the expert. And what I'm advising you to do is simply step away. The free market is already servicing curbside in your area. You can step away and let garbage companies that already exist in the surrounding counties come in and fill this void. It is not without precedent. Your neighbors in similar social and economic demographics have already chosen the free market. Clayton, Henry, Fayette, Rockdale, all chose the free market. They've never ever had to discuss this issue again. If you choose differently, you'll never stop discussing the garbage industry. You'll constantly be chasing money or referring franchise fees, referring between your chosen franchisee and the residents. Or you'll continue funding garbage centers that you cannot currently afford to operate. I'm asking you to step away, and you'll actually increase the number of jobs in your community. Step away and return the saved tax dollars to the residents so that they themselves can decide what is best for them, whether they want curbside, whether they want to take their stuff to a recycling center, whether they want backdoor service where the company comes to your back door and picks it up. I'm asking you to step away, use the proceeds from the sale of the equipment that you currently own to fund the animal shelter that you cannot pay for. And I'm asking you to step away so that the SPLOST that we discuss next doesn't need to happen. You can do more for your community by simply stepping away. Thank you.
Outburst. Marie Johnson.
Maria Johnson, 600 Hamill Road, Griffin, Georgia. Thank y'all for letting us come and speak our opinions about this subject. I am for option 3 and basically leave it as it is. Let the residents decide if they want to take their garbage to the collection centers or if they want to hire a company to come. I understand the benefits for both sides. One of the things for us, we live in a rural area of Spalding County. We live a third of a mile off the street. It would be impossible to take a big, large garbage can down to the street. And I know one of the other people talked about there's not really a place at the street for the garbage can, and that's true on our street. The other thing I want to mention is I love where I live. I love Spalding County. I love Griffin. I love the street I live on. I think it's gorgeous. It's country. It's all woods. It's beautiful. I don't want to see a whole string of garbage cans once or twice a week. I think that would be awful looking. The other thing is because we do live in a rural area, we have a lot of wildlife. I can't imagine by the time the morning comes what that garbage is going to look like all over the street. I mean, we have coyotes, we have foxes, we have raccoons. I mean, we have everything that a lot of these other people have. There's no way to be able to keep that garbage intact and keep our street clean. So I just want to ask y'all to keep option 3. Let the residents have the freedom to choose which way they want to go. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Ed Johnson.
My name is Ed Johnson. I live at 600 Camel Road. Today we have a choice. We have a choice on our trash collection. We can hire with a private company if we want to, or we can take our trash to the central centers. Option 1 removes that choice from us, and we would be forced to use whatever company the county chose for us. Today, we're paying for the cost of those recycling centers out of our property taxes. To me, it appears that option 1 and option 2 appear to keep collecting those taxes, but they both add on an additional fee. So I was wondering, what's the effect to the taxpayers? I looked at the effect on a home valued at $100,000. The current tax for the county portion of the property taxes for that house is $646. The additional fee to the homeowner for option 1 is $180. That's an increase of 28% over what they're paying to the county for the county part of the taxes today. In option 2, the additional expense to that same homeowner of $84.48 is 13% over what that homeowner is paying today for the county part of the taxes. Those are huge increases you're talking about. I'm opposed to option 1. It increases my taxes, fees, and limits my options on trash collection. Also, based on the 12,000 homes that are in the county, the $180 fee for option 1 costs the county homeowners over $2 million a year. Today, county homeowners are paying through property taxes less than $800,000 a year. So if we go with option 1, you're going to triple the amount that we're having to pay for our trash collection. So option 1 to me makes no sense. I'm also opposed to option 2, as even though it's called a fee, it is a tax increase. It also adds administrative overhead for handling the cows and processing payments. One final point, today property taxes are paying for our centers. A user fee, on the other hand, is the same amount for every taxpayer. I know several people that today don't pay any county taxes because of the value of their home and their senior exemptions. This will hit them hardest, and they'll be the least able to pay those fees. Thank you.
Thank you. Bobby Purefoy.
Bobby Purefoy, 917 South McDonald Road. As I stated the other Monday night, back in 1979, when we voted for the Spalding County Fire Department, what a lot of people don't understand is the Spalding County Fire Department and these compactor sites are linked together. Linked together. Because Commissioner Goolsby at the time came out to my house, wanted me and my family to donate property for one of the fire stations. And when I looked at the plans for the Spalding County Fire Department and saw on those plans that there were going to be compactor sites linked together with the Spalding County Fire Department, I said no, I didn't want that on our property. But they are linked together. And we voted for a fire district tax on the unincorporated area of the county. And we've been paying that tax for the fire department and for those compactor sites since 1979. And we should not have to be penalized again for something we've already paid for. We've been paying for these things since that day through the fire district tax that we pay every year in an unincorporated area. It has nothing to do with the city of Griffin. This is strictly for Spalding County residents, those outside the city. We've been paying for that. And we shouldn't be penalized or have to pay a fee or a tax for these centers again. That's where I stand, and that was, Woodard Station had two, and for 20 years, about, the firefighters are the ones who operated those things. They are the ones who compacted the trash out there with little or no recognition for it. But we did. And leave it alone. As some of the folks have said, if it's not broke, hey, don't fix it. Leave it alone. Or another option would be, and this is a novel idea, you got a splosh you're pushing for, put it on the ballot. Let the folks vote. Give them 3 options. They certainly didn't get an option to vote on another issue we had here, which we should have got an option to vote on it. But at least, hey, put this on the ballot and let the people vote on it for which option they want. Thank you.
Margaret Purefoy.
I'm Barbara Purefoy. I live at 917 South McDonough Road. I'd just like to say I'm for option number 3. Trash is already everywhere now. We had to pay over $3,000 because the EPA came out, made us clean up a corner lot where people had dumped garbage that's right next to the fire station. And so we had to pay that ourselves. We have caught people putting trash in the dumpster at the school. And we told them, you can't do that. So they took what they had not put in and left. Who knows if they didn't come back and put it in the trash dumpster at the school. And I think we should just leave it like it is. We've already paid. We have senior citizens. Right now, with his back surgery, I'm the trash lady. So, and I don't want to have to drag it to the street. But I'd appreciate it. Thank y'all for listening to us.
Thank you. Barb Morales.
My name is Barb Morales. I live at 2079 North 2nd Street Extension. North 2nd Street Extension turns into a dirt road, which is the portion that I live on. That road is not maintained as it is. I can't imagine big trucks coming down there and just destroying what little bit of a road we do have. It's, you know, on top of that, my driveway is over 1/3 of a mile and it's up a hill. You can't see my home from the road. My husband is in his mid-70s. There's no way he can take that down there and bring it back up every day or whenever the trash is added into it. I don't mind paying a tag fee for the privilege of using the dump sites. We've used them for over 17 years and thoroughly, you know, enjoy the fact that I do have that option. I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I do appreciate the fact that they are there. On our road, I have constantly caught people driving down with a whole truckload of trash, and on 2 occasions, I actually followed them. And I waited a minute just to see what they were going to do, and then I came around the curve there on the dirt road and saw them dump it. I stood right there with my cell phone in my hand. I said, "Do you want to put that back in your truck?" They did. And I said, "Come on, follow me." I took them to the dump station off of Jackson Road. They didn't know it was there. They hadn't lived there that long. I said, "You don't have to trash up my neighborhood just because of that." So I think it's really important that we do have that as an option. So I am actually for option 3, but if option 2 is necessary, I will go for that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Last person on the list is Patsy Pledger.
Thank you. My name is Patsy Pledger. I live at 122 Deerwood Circle, and I want you to leave it alone. I will be 75 years old next month, and I cannot afford another bill. And as you can see, the trash cans you want to put in the street is a much bigger than I am. So, you know, it's just there, and it's all we got on my side of the county. We have nothing. We got the fire department and our trash collector. That's all I've got on my side of the county. We have no fancy walking trails, we have no parks, we have no businesses, we have nothing. That's all we got. So please leave it alone. It works. Every Tuesday night, I take my one little bag of garbage up there, and I'm happy to do so. And I appreciate it so much, and I thank Mr. Don Hallbaker for calling me back and returning my phone call. I appreciate you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Fletcher?
Please don't have any makeup. This is not as big as the garbage can.
That actually concludes the first portion of the citizen public hearing. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss item number 2. Thank you so much for
Sound like he's still sleeping. I have to text him. Why did I have to get his phone?
First person that would like to give their comments would be Marvin Tackett. If you would, please, as always, state your name and address.
I'm Marvin Tackett. I live at 159 Creekwood Drive, Griffin, Georgia. The biggest objective I have to the SPLOST is the budgeting process. You start out, the law will allow you to run the SPLOST X number of years, so you pick the maximum. Then you do a tax digest, you determine how much it'll take in. Then you go ahead and try to make sure you spend it all. That's exactly opposite of what happens in industry and business. In business, you look at what is critical and what needs to be taken care of. You budget it, you determine the estimate what it's going to cost, budget it, and then you see how you're going to get the funds. If you would take, I can remember a while back we had a SPLOST that failed. You had the 800 megahertz system. Well, they turned around the next year and submitted another SPLOST, ran like 2.3 or 2.7 years. It took care of the 800 megahertz, and it took care of a couple other critical things. They had no problem passing. We're tired of funding nice things. Things that are not important, things that are not critical. We keep doing it. We determine what it will generate, then we find a way to spend it. Going through all the department managers, asking for input, all the local communities, that's not the way it works. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Michelle Knight. Will you please state your name and address?
Michelle Knight, 1111 Skyline Drive. First, I'd like to thank y'all for having this at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I work, and it's hard sometimes to make it to an evening meeting or an early morning meeting. I'm kind of in a little unique position because I served on the 2014 SPLOST committee. So I was able to hear from all of our citizens about different things that were important to them, different complaints that they had, why they were for the SPLOST, why they were against it. And I can tell you that the biggest thing that our committee was up against was the airport. A large portion of the people that voted SPLOST down was strictly mad about the airport, and that was their way to get back at you guys for the airport. They, I don't think, realize it's a whole separate issue. Anyways, I have small children, and as you go through different phases in your life, things that become important to you that may not have been important before. I know that we need to invest in the youth in this county. The Griffin youth and the GRIP tell us almost on a daily basis our youth are in trouble. We've got to do something to keep them safe, to keep them involved. We need to invest heavily in our parks and recreation. We need soccer lighting. That's a no-brainer. Our roads need to be at the top of the list. That was a huge thing that we heard from citizens. They're tired of passing SPLOST, and the roads are always at the bottom. They don't know, you can't tell them which roads are going to be on there. We need a splash pad, which could be revenue generating. That was proven through the different studies that we looked at on the committee. Hampton has one. They make money. It keeps kids busy. They're tired. They don't have time to get in trouble after they've been playing all day. And we need to do a better job this next go around explaining to the taxpayers and the voters how SPLOST works, what's legal, what can be done, what can't be done. I think we've got Griffin Film Institute. We need to use them. We need to let them film a video of what we want on SPLOST, how it will work, and it needs to be where every citizen can see it. It needs to be at the fairgrounds. It needs to be on every county website so that our citizens can find out what's going on instead of having to get it from their neighbor who may not have it accurately. But I would like to see soccer lights. I would like to see the 911. I'd like to see roads, splash pad, and then possibly another project that's dear to me that I may talk about Tuesday. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Stanley Washington.
Stanley Washington, 709 East McIntosh Road. Good morning again. I think Michelle pretty much hit it on the head on SPLOST. Some of the problems that I've seen and talked to people is past SPLOST, what it's been used for, where it's went. Now we're asking for a new SPLOST again for a CAD and phone system for 911 center, no doubt that's needed. Animal control facility, certainly needed. Correctional facility, the needs of Griffin, Orchard Hill, Sunnyside, field lights at Winona Tice Park, the Dead on Memorial Drive Plaza, LB Norton Fire Station, road paving, bridges, repairs. All of that certainly is needed, but when we look back at the past, we've got a roundabout that I understand now is going to go in out on Hill Street. That's going to take away a business. It's going to cost the taxpayers the money to buy the property, buy the businesses, and 400 feet away from there is a bridge that school buses can't cross. I think that's another thing that people look at on SPLOST and just say, why would I vote another one in? It's just, I mean, going back to the roundabout, traffic lights there, it costs the taxpayers absolutely nothing. Traffic stops. Put a roundabout in, traffic's only going to yield with the school system over there and the kids going back and forth. Even with a crossing guard out there, he's got one intersection to watch for now with a traffic light. With a roundabout, he's got 4 intersections that he'd have to stop. Again, we looked at the funds that's been spent out. We don't see our taxes going down. Our taxes are higher than any of the surrounding counties around us. And then what happens with the SPLOST funds, or with our taxes when the SPLOST funds runs out on these projects, that's going to cost additional money to operate afterwards. So I think, as Michelle said, you need to really be able to inform the taxpayers to get support for another SPLOST. Otherwise, unless we have some way of guaranteeing our taxes to be reduced, I couldn't support another. Thank you.
Thank you. James Brooks. Mr. Brooks? Okay. Thomas Martin.
Thomas Martin, 312 Stonewood. I'm all right with the SPLOST if it doesn't cost us anything to maintain it afterwards. I'd like to get the roads fixed. I don't think we need a splash center. So if it's going to cost us more to maintain it after the fact, I don't want it. Thanks.
Thank you. Jason Lovett.
Jason Lovett, 102 Fox Road. Just 6 months ago, the citizens of this county said no, yet here we go again. If this county needed or could afford a water park, Whitewater would have built it, I assure you. In 2013, the Heritage Foundation, Cato, and Mises Institute put the average individual tax burden at 42% of their income. Since then, we've had a property value increase, a new airport, an education SPLOST, and just last month, the largest tax increase in state history, the fuel tax. I'm asking you, how much more do you think your citizens can handle? I would like for you to consider tabling the SPLOST and honoring the wishes of your constituents. At the very least, please do not follow the Board of Education by hiding your SPLOST in an off-year election. At the very least, if you must, put a SPLOST vote on the November 2016 ballot where everyone will show up and you'll get the input of the entire community, as well as honoring those who went 6 months ago to vote down the SPLOST. Thank you.
Bobby Purefoy. Okay. And your last person is Peter Phelps.